Hey guys, welcome back to the Otter Creek in Rio Grande. And as you can see, I'm getting started on giving everything on my little diorama here a base coat of white paint. I think that is probably the best place to start. And I'm using cheap craft paint for this. I don't really want to get into the debate on what kind of paint you should use. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, but I will take the word of people who have used lots of different kind of paint. But I think that this will work fine for my purposes on this project. As a learning project is all it really is. All right, I got a lot of stuff to cover, so we will come back after I've kind of done some things that is worth talking about. I've got everything painted white. I think that I want painted white. I've intentionally left some of the cork just to kind of see how it paints up as compared to what is white. And I think it's just a matter of letting it dry now and figuring out what to do next. We're going to get started having some fun now. I'm finally going to paint this little rock outcropping. And I'm going to use, I guess, the leopard print technique. I'm probably not using the terminology right. But it involves making use of various different colors to help, I guess, create a collage of colors. So what I've got is this yellow ochre. I can't see the camera. Yellow ochre. Burnt sienna, some raw umber, and I've got this provincial beige, which is pretty close to the color that I want overall. It's going to be my major homogenizing color. And then I'm also going to make use of this Payne's Gray, which I think works really well for deep recesses and kind of a granite look. And I'm going to start with the yellow ochre, and they're fairly thin. And the idea is just to be pretty random, or, you know, I guess maybe if you were a geologist, you would know how exactly you'd want to go about doing things. I have intentionally made this yellow ochre just a little bit more opaque than some of the other colors, because it covers up pretty good when you start putting the other colors on top of it. And truth be known, I kind of like the color. I don't mind it popping through a little more than some of the others. I'm going to work with the burnt sienna now. Still plenty of white in there. Now, I'm going to go in with the Payne's Gray. Just get a few places that I would be okay with maybe looking like granite. Or something. All right, now I've got the raw umber. I'm intentionally trying to leave some of this a little more white, and I probably should have left more, truth be known. I'm going to let this dry completely, and then we'll come back with the provincial beige. Okay, that's dried up pretty good. Now I'm gonna go back in with the Payne's Gray, which is really kind of it's almost a blue color. I could probably paint the whole thing with it because I've got it pretty thin, but I'm wanting to accentuate more of the cracks than I am anything else. Rather than slather it on. You know, on this one that I painted that color, I'm okay with it getting a little more of it. Kind of counting on that when this dries, it's not going to be quite as dark as it is now. I don't know if that's going to be true or not, but another option would be to go with a much darker brown. Now, because all of this is an experiment, you know, I'm just trying to learn different techniques and trying to figure out what I like, what I don't like. I'm fairly happy with it, but I want to go in right here, and this is the raw umber, and I'm just going to wash this whole thing with raw umber and see what I get. Well, I can't tell that it did much of anything to it, so I'm going to go ahead and go in with the provincial beige one more time. For sure on everything that's red. The red still might be just a little bit overpowering. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just do it all. It's all a big experiment. I think the colors are starting to come together. I did lose kind of the detail that I did earlier with the Payne's gray, but that's not any big deal because I got plenty of it. It's a matter of coming back in. And I don't know, I might be able to get away with this being just a little bit thicker. Or maybe I just need to get more aggressive with it. I just don't want there to be too much contrast. But there needs to be some. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Just let it dry and look at it for a while and look at some pictures of what I think this might want to look like. I decided to go ahead and use the exact same technique here on the river bank, just to kind of make sure that it's working for me. And I'm sure my hand is probably directly in the way of the camera. I'm just almost out of this beige color that I'm using for kind of the overall look, tying things together. And I'm kind of having a strange phenomenon that I can't really explain. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but in a lot of the crevices, I'll take some pictures because I don't want to move things around too much, but in all of these crevices, the paint is just not wanting to stick at all. And I don't really know what's going on there. If it's a matter of primer, maybe my primer was too thin. I think that's my best guess at the moment. And or, you know, maybe it wasn't very good primer, I know that. Maybe I have learned why you should use a better primer. Something better than apple barrel, but yet to be seen. And even in through this area, it's not wanting to take. And I know my paint is thin, which is by design, but I would like for it to adhere just a little bit better than it is right now. Because, you know, I don't want to have to put on 15 coats, right? I'm liking the results I'm getting just fine. But if I could do it, you know, in 5 sessions rather than 15 or 20, that would be advantageous. There are just places where it's not taking paint at all. Almost like it's Teflon. The last thing I want to do before we call it quits on this video is I want to go ahead and kind of take care of all of these areas that are still white. Now, before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about this, and this is just another little thing that I'm going to do some experimenting on. And I mentioned the fact that some of these areas were not working well. You know, if you look right in here, and if I haven't already thrown a picture up, I'll throw one up, that where the paint is just not adhering. You got all these little white spots in here. And, you know, I've tried multiple times to get those little white crevices to go away. Now, in some places, I kind of like it. You know, like right in here, maybe that's a line of quartz or something. But in these really big recesses, I don't like it. So I have it on pretty good authority that the reason that is happening is because I used crappy apple barrel white primer. So I'm going to do this using the exact same technique I did with this. The only difference is I'm going to get really good white paint, a nice flat. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with latex. I haven't purchased it yet, but I'm going to get a nice flat white latex paint, Sherwin-Williams, and see if that is the difference here. So another experiment, you know, all a learning process. So not worrying any more about that, let's get started on this. What I've got now is Vallejo light brown, which is a pretty close mix to the, or pretty close match to this provincial beige that I use for the rock color. And you know, I think that's definitely going to be somewhat of a challenge moving forward, is coming up with that color in volume, because I think I special ordered that from Australia, because I think that, you know, provincial beige, I've only ever been able to find that specific name, and I understand that, you know, the name has nothing to do with the color, but I know that that's the color I want. And I haven't really found a beige color that matches kind of this light brown in Liquitex. They probably make it, I just haven't been able to find it. So if you happen to know where Liquitex has something like that, let me know in the comments. Well, this is where I'm at. I think I've got a pretty good start on the coloring, the rock coloring and whatnot. Now, I would say right now I think the term is oversaturated, and that's a style. I'm not particularly fond of great contrast between your darks and your lights. So, you know, it's all an adventure. And again, I'll mention that the elevator, you know, it was already built. I threw it on here. It's absolutely probably not the right subject for being this close to what eventually is going to be a river and some kind of rock outcropping. This is just for me to kind of tie all of the elements of scenery into one, you know, I don't know what that is, maybe a foot by 18 inches. So I think the next thing I need to do is make a decision on, do I want to work on the track or some of the ground? So stay tuned. We'll see what happens next. Thanks for watching Otter Creek and Rio Grande.